Okay, here we have a bunch of stuffing that I have. Sorry, I had to put my wrist warmers on. It's getting cold in here. Okay, so I have a bunch of stuffing, and this is actually just from an exploded pillow that I had, and I kept some of the stuffing for. And you'd be surprised how much you can fit inside of these things. And so I want to have a really long tail for this because I'm going to use it to pull it so it gives a curve. So I want to make sure that I have a nice long tail. There we go. So it's all bound off. I know it looks a little funny at the moment. And to stuff it, here are some tools that I use for stuffing. A pencil, a regular pencil, or like this mechanical one that I have here. The eraser tip makes a really good stuffing device. And I also have a chopstick. And this one I sawn off for a different project that I did. And so it's got a blunty end. Or you could just use a regular one that's not broken to use the blunty end and the normal end. So, time for stuffing. But first, because if this gets stretched out at the end, I don't want it to be all like holy and see-through, and I don't want you to see any white of the other stuffing. So what I do is I just get a bunch of yarn from the ball, just a nice big blob of it, of the same color yarn that I made it in, and I get a nice big blob of that, and I stuff that in first at the very end. And I'm going to use my chopstick. Get that out of the way. So I'm just going to get my chopstick and use it to poke it. Oops, poke it through. Poke it in all the way. I'm going to use my pencil now. Obviously you can stuff it as much or as little as you want. I'd like to stuff it pretty well because I want it to hold up on its own. So that bit's stuffed, and doesn't that look strange? Now we're going to stuff the rest. And see, it's stretched out pretty good. But you can't really see. Like usually you might see the white in there because I've kind of overstuffed it because I want it to be stiff. But you won't because of the way it is. That end is not stuffed enough. So So I just use, there. Now we have a nice pointy end. And we're going to start stuffing it with our normal, whatever fiber filler you want to use. Got a pillow you don't like anymore? Take it apart and use it. And you should, stuff the hell out of this thing. Really get it in there. Because you want it to hold up, you don't want it to just flop around. And there is the stuffed horn. Yay! I think this ribbed effect is a little better when your horn is longer because quite a bit of it's just the normal end. Now if you don't want to make your horn have this neat ridgy stuff, obviously you don't have to. Hold on a second. Okay, so if you don't want it to have the ridges, the texture, which I don't think show up quite as well on camera. Like I said, you don't have to do that. It does take extra time, it does take extra yarn, but on a larger completed scale, it is a neat effect. It does, like, you know, I guess add that extra bit. So this is the horn, and that stuffing does not want to stay in there. So, there's some hair. Sorry. So, yeah. Here's a finished horn. And we're going to give it a little curve. I like to curve on the ridge, like that. So I like to curve it in. On my hair there. So you just want to stuff it to however you like, obviously, but you want it to be nice and stiff and firm. Yeah. So now when I get I'm going to run this through, and so it's going to give it a little bit of a curve, and it's going to be like that. And here, oh, I dropped him. Okay, so here's the hat, and here is the horn. You see that? You see how that goes right there? There we go. This is gonna curve down. If you don't want to have yours curve, if you'd like to just have it being, you know, just some random Viking hat that is not based off the Skyrim hat, because the Skyrim hat does do sort of this sort of thing. I mean, you can do this. You can just do straight out. You can do it forward like that. You could just do one horn, like the other one got broken off. I mean, if you really want, you could put it right in the middle, up on top. That's a little odd, but hey, it's your hat. Do what you want. So, you know, but for the hat that I'm doing, which is based on the video game of Skyrim, it does this. And kind of gives it a little curve down. Yeah. And there's going to be another gray piece that goes over this. And that's what we'll be attaching it with. Now, if you don't want the gray piece, if you just want the horn coming straight out of the helm, that's fine too, and you can attach it just like this. You can, you know, sew it on like you would. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to make another horn, we're going to make a gray part that goes over it, and we're going to attach them. Okay, so let's get on to the part where we curve it. Okay, get our yarn needle, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. And to pinch it over and pull that out, and that makes it a bit easier to pull it through. There are other ways of doing it. You can get a piece of string, or like sewing string, whatever, thread, and you put that through, and then use it as a loop to pull through the yarn. But that usually you only need to do that for thinner stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do here is figure out where you want yours to curve in at. I like mine to curve in at the where it kind of ridges from where the round started. So that's where I'm going to take and pull it in. We're just going to kind of take it out, in and out of a few spots. The amount that you in and out, is up to you. You could do it shorter. I think that's good. And usually you'd want to do this loose so you didn't pull it, but here we want to pull it. We want it to get a little curve. So we're going to pull this tight, and then because we want it to curve, I think a little bit further. So another in and out here. And see how that kind of creates a curve there. If we just pulled it all the way through, you just get that part that pulls like that. So we need to stop it from pulling again, and we're going to go up this. And now that has a curve. Now I want it to kind of curve a little bit more here. So we're going to once again do kind of an in and out. Pull that through, and we're going to pull it tight. Do you see how that does that? My stuffing's coming out. So we're just going to kind of give it a nice tug. However amount you want to give it a curve. Maybe a little bit less. Okay. And then holding that, we'll go back down through so that holds it in place. And do it again. In and out, all the way down. This one you can go a bit further because we're not going to see this area unless you want to see it, and then you might want to do it neater. So we're going to tug it down a little bit more again and kind of tie it in place. Like going through. There we go. And now we have our curved horn. And our stuffing falling out. So that's how you create the curve for the horn. More later.